Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 2nd of 2024, and there's been a lot of things going on between the Disney heads, such as the board of directors and many executives, along with Bob Iger, the CEO, working hand in hand with the creatives behind Deadpool 3 and how it's been a back and forth struggle, not just for Ryan Reynolds, but also we can't forget about Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Shawn Levy, the director of all people, who's really trying to make this movie work as best as possible. Now, we know at the same exact time, Disney is rushing to make a trailer that is going to boost hype levels for this movie ahead of the Super Bowl of this year on February 11th. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, one interesting thing about Deadpool 3 is that we know that Ryan Reynolds has been pretty much hit or miss in these scenarios where, for instance, he's getting things done his way in some cases where Disney begins to cave, and in other cases, Disney is, of course, all knowingly remaining very stubborn and not allowing Ryan Reynolds to do what he wants to do with the third act of the film, as reshoots are still on the horizon that are planned to insert DEI nonsense into the final portions of the film. Now, what's interesting about all of this moving onwards has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds and Brie Larson specifically, and how we know that this third Deadpool film, basically the main selling point is that it's going to focus on the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, right? That's the main thing that people looking forward to. The other aspect are, of course, numerous cameos from different universes. Some people may very well be very keen on that, and others, of course, are very much challenging those overall ideas entirely. Now, what's interesting about all this moving onwards is that with the Deadpool 3 drama only getting worse behind the scenes between the creators and the Disney heads, of course, one major development has much to do with Ryan Reynolds and how he recently got caught up in drama with actress Brie Larson for the third Deadpool film. This all comes in the wake of how serious revisions were made for the film ahead of its trailer debut for the days to come. One major development has to do with Disney's initial push for Brie Larson as Captain Marvel making a cameo in the third film, and how recently Ryan defended his movie along with the writers, of course, like Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. This all comes in the wake of both Reynolds and Larson falling into serious creative differences over how the Captain Marvel cameo was going to be used, both for principal photography and planned reshoots that were going to involve her in the third act to introduce the Fantastic Four ahead of the 2025 film. Two things Ryan didn't like about this was how, number one, his film was being used to promote the Fantastic Four, and two, Larson was being shoehorned in by Disney for a Captain Marvel cameo. After things got out of control, Disney eventually caved and reasoned with Ryan to give him full liberty to fire Brie Larson from the third Deadpool film completely with zero Captain Marvel appearances. This in turn led to Ryan and the writers canceling out two major scenes featuring Captain Marvel, one of which involved Captain Marvel providing cringeworthy dialogue to Deadpool about how she is the most powerful person in the universe and how Galactus is on his way. This is where a breaking the fourth wall moment came in with Deadpool about his thoughts on Johnny Storm, Sue Storm, Mr. Fantastic, and The Thing. As the Fantastic Four are introduced, Reynolds felt Brie's cameo appearance that was only partially shot was completely unnecessary, and that Kevin Feige instructed some of the improvised dialogue, something that writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick were also in full disagreement with. This in turn all led to a moment where Ryan canceled the second appearance of Captain Marvel, where she does indeed fight Deadpool. Though the scene was brief, it did involve Larson's Captain Marvel fighting Deadpool in space for some reason that wasn't fully understood as of yet. Now, Reynolds got into heated arguments with Disney about these scenes since the dialogue was mostly forced improvised material by Kevin Feige that he didn't agree with but also respected it since he knows Kevin Feige closely. The Disney heads fell into panic mode and eventually gave Ryan full permission to pull these scenes. Even director Shawn Levy believed that Captain Marvel's presence, especially after the Marvel's box office failure, would only taint the film further had they kept these scenes intact. As of now, the Fantastic Four characters are in shambles, as Disney prepares to somehow complete their cameo through upcoming reshoots for the spring that will be done all in studio with green screen and CGI. Now guys, let me just stop here before I move on, alright? Now the problem with this is the fact that we have a scenario where now, yes, Disney caved, they allowed Ryan to just get rid of all this trouble, get rid of Brie Larson. I think even Disney began to believe in themselves that Captain Marvel would only create a disaster for this film after what happened with The Marvels, which by the way had the worst MCU opening in history, box office-wise. It really was that bad of an opening, and that's exactly why they did so much damage control for the film, and how that movie, really did not make up for anything. A lot of the creators behind that, including director Nia DaCosta, was also to blame. But what's interesting about this is the fact that they were attempting to shoehorn Captain Marvel for 2 scenes to introduce the Fantastic Four and to fight Deadpool, and how it sets her up as the most powerful being in the universe through dialogue. Now, what I find to be very hypocritical is how they banned Ryan Reynolds from improvising dialogue. They banned Ryan Reynolds from using any kind of scenes that were unscripted in this movie, and yet Kevin Feige was allowed to improvise dialogue for characters like Captain Marvel. So that's exactly why I say some of those that are backed by Disney are very hypocritical in nature and really have no clue what they're talking about. Now, what's interesting about this again, alright, this is where matters get even more serious, is that this time, without Captain Marvel at all being in the movie, however, the creatives are pushing for Disney to leave out the Fantastic Four now, after all the issues with Brie Larson both on set and creatively for her character. As of now, Disney is rushing to make the best Deadpool 3 trailer possible ahead of the Super Bowl. So here's the thing about the Deadpool 3 trailer, alright? Teaser, trailer, whatever have you. They are sprucing something up real fast. And whether or not that comes out good or bad is all up to them. So we're gonna have to find out in roughly 9 days from now before this thing debuts. It's gonna be interesting to see what they edit together to kind of market this thing and begin the marketing campaign ahead of its July release date window. Now again, I can feel for Ryan here, why he would not want his movie to serve as basically this full-fledged advertisement for the upcoming Marvel slate. And we know that's exactly what Disney was trying to do with Deadpool 3, because they realized that the fans are gonna rush to see this movie because it has Deadpool on it, it's got Deadpool in it, and it's got Wolverine, right? However, if this movie does not end up being good, word of mouth is only going to make the film suffer. We all know that. Happened with many Marvel movies before, and I think Bob Iger, at the end of the day, really just should let Ryan, Rhett, and Paul, as well as Sean, we can't forget about Sean, let them all do what they have to do with this movie to make up the best possible product that they can out in theaters. I think that they deserve it, and the fans deserve it, most certainly, because let's face it, a lot of fans love Deadpool and the lore surrounding the character. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.